Oh, man.
Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor. It is the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to everybody. My wife, Marky, is here.
Hello.
We're just going to do a usual thing for the 4th. Let's get a few things going here. Don't know how many people we got on yet. We are here, so we will show you a few things that I got.
Oh, I could have got that.
As I said, I've had a lot of hauls this week here. We've been really, really busy with hauls. I filled up my van the other day. I actually go tomorrow morning for another haul. And one of the items that I got just the other day, I don't know how many people are into old cars and pressed steel items. This one here, I paid $15 for it. This is one of my better haul items here. It was actually in 2 pieces. The back tailgate section here wasn't all on it. I've since put it back together, but for $15, if you look these up, just type in blue Buddy L truck, and you will see this exact same model goes for about $140. It's in a little rough condition in just a few spots, but it's overall a very nice piece. And again, as I said, I did a big, huge haul. We filled the van up. My wife had to move stuff around. We had to run around, and we literally had a ton of stuff here in this room. And I actually couldn't have employees back here for a little while, and so I moved everything around. But I literally got a ton of stuff in here now. We might actually not go anywhere to pick up shortly. So hopefully everything works out good with the room wise. But I do have a haul tomorrow morning. I've got a haul video coming. And as of right now, I finished my postcard in-depth one here. I've had tons of questions. How we doing peddling profits? Macaroni May. The wife is here. Yes. I finished the video in-depth on postcards. Now, it's going to be in 3 separate sections because I got into it and it was just more in-depth than I had originally anticipated. So I've extended it through a couple videos. So I'm not giving you like an hour-and-a-half video of just on and on postcards. So that will be up tomorrow. That was my tentative video. If the live feed wasn't going to go, that's what you would have saw. So you can have that first thing in the morning. It's already uploaded, so I will pop it up first thing in the morning for you. But it's a real long, well, it's 20 some odd minutes long. It's literally just talking about real picture postcards and how to tell the difference between those and hand tinted cards here. So that's what the video is going to be. So for all of those who have asked about that, it's coming out tomorrow morning. Again, it's going to be 3 parts over 3 weeks. I spent some time on this video. I talked through the whole thing. It's a lot of in-depth. It's a lot of close-ups on just postcards and only real pictures and hand-tinted here. But again, the wife here, she lists for us too. On the other side, we had some issues here. I have Ian. He is one of my employees. You got to see him the other day. You want to yell out hi?
Hey.
That's Ian here. It's a tight area, so I really can't fit a ton of space in here. As I said, our area is just literally just enough to get through and just to actually be functioning for what we do for our business. So the lie today is blurring, not as clear as previous videos. Well, we're going to see if we can't fix that. I bet you I know exactly what it is. It's going to go black for just a second here. Hopefully that's a little better. I'm sure I just smudged it. I actually was anticipating going on my SLR camera today, but for whatever reason, OBS will not acknowledge it. And it was working fine the other day again. So I've had a few technical glitches here, but hopefully that's a little better. Yeah, I got you live there. Hopefully that's clear for everybody here. The wife just ran off and doing a few things. We've got some other stuff going on today. I've got my models working and things like that here. But another item here that I see all the time, and I'll get you some questions here in just a minute. We've got almost 10 people. I didn't know how many people would be on today because, again, it is the 4th, and I honestly didn't realize today was the 4th. So it may be a shorter video if we don't have a ton of questions here. But another item that I buy all the time, now these are dollar purchases. I pay $1 a piece for these. Haven't even looked them up. This is part of the haul I got. These are fountain pens, vintage fountain pens. You know, usually if you look at them too, they have like gold, 14 karat and 10 karat gold nibs. That nib is what the writing part is actually on these. It's a metal tip on them. But I got $1 a piece into these. I'll probably show some close-ups and maybe even run into a special video just on these. I've sold pens just like this in the $400 to $500 range on many, many occasions. This would be a bolo as far as I'm concerned. They have to be the old Bakelite style, I don't know how well you can see that on there, but it has a oddball, like a marbleized pattern. And these are the ones you want to look for. Like right here, this is the nib, this metal piece you see on the top there. That's actually gold in most of the time. I've seen them even in platinum once or twice before, but these are usually fairly expensive pieces here. And I do sell these every time I get them in, every single one. Even if they're broken or missing parts, they always sell, and I usually get a lot of money for them. So anyway. And some other items, I talk about glasses all the time. This is dirty, dingy. I've gotten a couple of these pairs. It even has spider webs on them, but this is like a driver's goggles set with real leather, circa 1920s, 1930s. And again, this is $1. That's what I pay for this. It's in really bad condition. It was dirty, and I've cleaned it up a little bit, believe it or not. But everything on here will clean up. The leather's still soft. These are like 20 or 30 bucks. It's something you can find pretty much anywhere, flea market wise, antique malls and things like that. You might not pay $2, but a couple bucks, they're worth buying. And along that same line, now these aren't worth a ton of money either, but this is another pair. I show glasses all the time. This is an interesting pair. It's actually protective glasses. They've got fold downs, vents on the side. Rather interesting. I love the glasses. I do wear glasses and contacts, so you know I have a set of glasses that I have special made just for me as well too. But these are pretty interesting. I've never seen these this style. Again, not huge pricey things, but for a couple bucks, you're going to make $5-10 profit minimum at the very, very least on this. So anyway, I mean, what I got most of, got some dust from that. What I got most of the other day in that big, huge haul, I got an entire collection of probably 10,000 or more 35 millimeter slides. Now, have no idea what's in most of these, but I did pick out some key ones here. I talk about China in the postcards. China slides are going to sell. I've got about 150 good slides of China taken in the 1960s, all dated. I know who took them. You know, I've got this guy's entire collection, everything. Slides like that from the 60s, even if they've turned red from, you know, being around, which some of these have, they're still like $30 a piece slides. So, you know, I've got several $1,000s into these slides, value-wise, coming back out of them. And literally, I've got like 10,000 of these. I've just bagged them up by the trays they come in. When these come in, they come in like round carousel trays. Hey, Annie. The trays themselves are worth nothing. So when you get these in there in boxes, I don't have one. If you hang on just a second, let me show you what some of these come in. Those slides come in these boxes right here. Let me open one up here too. These aren't just for slides too. Literally, I took them all out of these. I had a ton of these. I had metal boxes. These came in and wooden boxes, 10,000 worth. There's 150 in one of these. So if that gives you an idea on how many of these were full to get 10,000, that's why my van was full. And as I said, I'm going to make $3,000 just off the China slides. Now, if you had, you know, China slides that were earlier, you could be talking, you know, $500 a single slide if it was a vintage enough slide out of the lot. But for what I have in here, they're all 60s for the most part. There's trains, there's airport scenes, there's West Germany, East Germany scenes. This person took a trip across the planet, a 37-day trip, and it actually had a journal that the person kept with all of this. Now, I'm not worried about the journal. The journals usually aren't worth anything unless you're going to sell them as a lot. I piece these all out. These are all going to go up on a light table. We're going to take some detailed pictures, and I'll list them up one by one, at least the China ones, all the antique car ones, the airport ones, the train station ones. That's what you're looking for. I talk about media all the time. Media is where I make a ton of money. Paper's number one and media is number two. So that's what I look for. And even in there, media that most people wouldn't know about. If you've never seen one of these, this is a player piano roll. Now, most of these are just junk. I would throw away probably 90% of every one I get. But I was lucky enough, the same person was a big media buff. They had, oh geez, I couldn't even tell you how many player piano rolls and stuff they had there. But I only bought like 6 of these out of, you know, maybe 1,000. Because again, most of these aren't worth money. I don't look up every one on these. I hit the big ones like here. This is a 88 note Themodiest. Now I'm not even going to try to pronounce the rest of it. I think you can see it on there. These sell very well. The 88 note ones are the ones you want. They're big rolls. And I'll show you the difference between those and a regular one. This is the large one. This is the 88 note. And then a regular standard one is tiny. This is a standard one, so you can kind of see the difference. Let me hold them up so you can actually see them a little better. But you can kind of see the difference. One's tiny, one's large. The bigger they are, the better they are for the most part. Some of these are huge. They'll go into like a Nickelodeon. If you don't know what a Nickelodeon is, look it up, because it's something that it would be well worth your time to look into, because these people throw these things out all the time. And the ones that I pick up are like Christmas and things like that. You can almost always be safe on Christmas. I got 75 bucks on this one here. I paid $1 a piece for these, or I could have bought them all for $200. And I wasn't going to buy 1,000 player piano rolls for that money, no matter what. It just wasn't worth it. I cherry picked a lot, and that's what you want to do. Like, this is Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Now, these Christmas ones, people sit around their player pianos and they do the Christmas song. So that's why these will sell. And I'm going to hold on to these just before Christmas, probably in October or so when I put these up. But these average ones, again, $1 a piece. These average ones here for the Christmas. And that's what I bought most of. Most of what I got are Christmas. Oh, Come All Ye Faithful. And then another one is just a standardized Christmas greetings. Even if the boxes are damaged, these are still okay. These are like 30 bucks a piece around Christmas time. And again, $1 a piece. So between that and the $75 one, you know, I got $150 back out of this right now. No problem. I guarantee these will sell. And then here's another. This is a William Tell Overture. And again, it's an 88 note. So that's the difference. It's a large size one. There's other ones that are massive that hold like 6, 7 songs. And those are way more than that. And those are the melodeon ones. So if they're huge like this, they go into melodeon, which is a player piano. It's a huge, massive one that would be made to play in like a big hall or a restaurant or something, as opposed to the pump ones you'd have at your house. But that's what I see on those. And you know, the profit wise, it's a pretty good profit. There's one more thing that you can find too. Now, I wasn't sure what this was when I first saw the box. This is actually the vacuum cleaner that you'd use to clean the player piano itself. Now, I looked these up here. Now, this is one of those oddball things. With the box, these sell for like 10 or 15 bucks. But selling just this piece, now I don't get it at all. If I put just this without the box on, I'd get 25 or 30 for it. I just don't understand why. And it's that way across the board. If you look up comps, this is a Clear Note vacuum cleaner. And you can look that up just that way as well, too. So why they sell out of the box, I don't know. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm trashing the box. I'm just going to sell the vacuum cleaner for it. So, you know, that's just an oddball thing. But let's see where we got going on here. The China slides. I always hop on anything that says the Orient or any of the tours in that general area, even if it just says Thailand or something. Thailand and the rest of the areas aren't worth a ton of money. Some early Japanese ones, if it's by the occupation era, you know, from 1948 through, I think, 57-ish, somewhere in that range. It was 8 or 10 years we occupied Japan. But any of that era, it always sells. And then China always. Unless it's past like 75 or 80, some of those go down in price. But anything before 75 or 80 China on a slide, you're going to get some good money for it. The last group I had, we did like $800 on 7 slides. The first one was almost $200. And it was a real nice scene of, there's a hill on top of, in Hong Kong. I wish I could remember the name of the hill, but it's a hill, and there's usually shots taken from there. And I was lucky enough to get a good slide of a blimp. And I've never seen a blimp in Hong Kong, but that's why it's sold. It was a blimp over the harbor. There must have been some big event. It could have been some royal event, because the Hong Kong at that time was actually still a part of England at the time. It was part of the crown, the monarchy. So anyway, let's see if we got any questions here, if anybody has any. Modern glasses do sell as well, too. Yeah, the frames. Now, on the glasses, Annie, if you see the old ones and look at the inside, oh, geez, on the bridge, the part that's right here, look inside those, and any of the vintage ones, if you run across the vintage ones, because probably maybe 2 out of 10 are actually gold-filled. And the gold-filled glass frames are worth about $8-10 right this second. I just sold one, so I know the value on it. And the people who usually buy them buy them just for the scrap value, and they'll tell me to bust out the lenses and just throw them in a cheap padded envelope for as cheap as I can get them. I sell those all the time. That's why I usually mess with glasses. Now, a good place to get those, if you want to inside out on where to get those, when you go to Savers or you go to Goodwill, there's a basket, a wicker basket on every one around our house, every single one. Most every thrift store has one of these baskets that they'll throw all the sunglasses and regular glasses into. Now, I always look through those baskets every time, and maybe 1 out of 5 times I'll pull out a pair that's, you know, either 14 or 12 karat gold filled. Now, only once in my entire life, I found an actual 14 karat solid gold pair of lenses, or the frames work, and it was I think it was an Estee Lauder or some oddball designer name. And I know Estee Lauder does perfume and stuff, but back in the day, they made compacts and brass and gold items as well, too. So sometimes you can run across those. But I made a ton of money off that pair of glasses, like 400 some odd bucks. The person wasn't melting those down. They were going to use them. It was a really neat pair. It wasn't cat's eye, but it was kind of close to the design. But glasses, I put glasses in almost every haul you see. I come up with pairs of glasses. I love glasses. I love the optical. I wear glasses, and I wear some vintage ones occasionally too. So anyway, let's see here. Peddling Profits, you've got 100 or so in the barn. Yeah, if you go through those, if you're not on my Facebook group, the Auction Professor on Facebook as well too, you can post pictures or ask me questions on that. I do have an email address, which I will be adding, that you can contact us, you know, actually straight to on YouTube here. It'll be in the last About Us page. I'll probably post that up this week here. I just assigned it. We've got a web page, and I've got some holds on our name on .com too, and all that stuff too. So I'll be posting some more information. I'll be posting some other things, some written material for me. I am into music, as you know. I do a ton of records that I sell. My thesis for my master's degree was actually on the influence of music on the population, general population. And I'm going to post some stuff like that. It's like a 60 or 70 page thesis that I did for my master's. I've got a couple other ones, but people have asked about that. We do write as well too, and I'm going to be posting a couple pages out of a book that we will be self-publishing here very soon as well too. Now, this is nothing related to eBay, but it's just, you know, some real life events and stuff like that. But I'll give you a chance to read some stuff if you're interested. If not, no hard feelings at all. I try to spread my stuff out all over the place. I loved the time in college, and I loved my English classes, poetry, and the whole works. So anyway, let's see what we got here. Team Liquidate, welcome aboard. Green Thrifty Life, welcome aboard. Let's see here. Let me move down a little bit. Thanks, Team Liquidator. I appreciate that. Recruiting pickers. Now, I've got some videos on that, George. For the most part, if you want to find somebody who's going to get stuff for you, you got to go to the same places like the flea markets. Most of my pickers were flea markets, Craigslist, and the antique fairs and festivals that are like once a week. Around here, there's some that are like once a week on Monday morning at like 6 in the morning, once a week. There's some that are Saturdays, like at an old drive-in theater, or not drive-in theater, but a old drive-in. And literally there's nothing there anymore. It's just a whole bunch of people sitting out in the middle, and they're usually gone by like 12. Those are the people that don't usually do the internet. That's what you want. Most of the people who are pickers for me do not sell on the internet for one reason or another. They don't have the technical ability. They don't want to mess with it. They're older. They just don't care to learn anything new. They're set in their ways. One of my pickers is 78. You know, the youngest picker that I have is 59. So again, I'm almost in that group anyway. So I'm not trying to criticize or, you know, comment on anybody's age at all. But I'm just trying to give you an idea so you understand that these people, you don't want a picker who does eBay. And when you're going out to buy stuff, somebody had posted a thing in my Facebook group about a record lot that they saw. And it was from somebody who said it was his collection of seconds and third copies. If you see stuff like that, don't mess with it, because it's probably just a BS line you're trying to get you to buy their items. But those ads that you see, though, are good sources. You can go out and meet these people and look at the stuff, even if you're not sure you're going to buy them, and trying to get some rapport with some of these people. Because if they're putting it on Craigslist, you can look and see by their phone number if they've got others on Craigslist. You want to hit the ones that are listing a ton of stuff on Craigslist for sale, because a lot of those people aren't doing the internet for the most part. You got to check into it again, check into these. But as I said, number one source that I found was was Craigslist and the flea markets. Literally, that's where 4 of my individual pickers came from, straight out. Another one was from an auction, and another one I ran into at an antique mall while he was actually replenishing his antique booth in the mall. But that's where you're going to meet these people. You're going to have to go to auctions. Antique auctions. Don't just go to regular auctions. Go to the antique ones. And if you're in a small town, I guarantee you within, say, 30 or 40 minutes of any town I've ever been in or anywhere I look, there's usually a good local live auction. Go to the live auctions that do not have online bidding. That's just the insider. Don't go to the ones that do online bidding because it's opened up to too many people and there's too much chance of somebody coming in at the last minute and sniping you like they do on eBay. So hopefully that gives you a little idea. But if you want more in depth on that, I've got a couple videos on how I fund my pickers. It's in the how-to playlist that I have up now. I don't remember how many videos are in that list. There's like 60 or 70. So it's got a lot of topics. If you're new to the channel, I've got like 170 videos up now. I try to cover everything that other channels don't cover because that's usually what I sell. I don't do clothing anymore. We've literally stopped buying clothing, as I was talking about, other than a couple of hats and some very high dollar stuff that I walk upon. I'm not looking for it. If I walk into it, I'll still probably buy it if it's a good profit margin. But that hopefully answers that. I found a postcard in the exact same one in better condition, just sold for $125 a day. I put mine up in bin 110. Did the other one sell as a bin at Annie at 129, or did that sell as a auction price at 129? If you want to pop that in there, that makes a big difference on what you want to put that on. So just put that down there, and I'll know from there. Let's see here. Yeah, do shipping for tomorrow. I actually shipped up tomorrow a green Thrifty Life. I shipped or packed up this morning. I wasn't thinking that today was the holiday. I don't even know if I was planning on doing the video if it was a holiday. I see we do have 25 people on now. Usually it's been 50 or better, I've noticed. So I'm sure the holiday, a lot of people are out. I guess routine-wise, I'll just do it Wednesday no matter what, people on or not. But anyway. Yeah, I've put some photos up there, Peddling Profits. If that one sold at auction, Annie, I'd put yours up for like 150 or better. Literally. Don't worry about what the other one sold on some of those rare cards like that. I'm sure that some of the other people who were bidding on it are sad that they missed out. Maybe at last minute, somebody sniped in and got it out of their pockets. Just put it up for 150. That's what I would personally do. If something like that happens and it's a rare card, and it's the only other card of that one up, you can pretty much name your price and just take your best offer on it. I'd put it up for 150 personally. Let's see here. Okay, you had the Japanese postcards. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I do know who you are. Goodwill bins, you found postcards. Wow. Yeah, Magaroni May. I'm always cautious on meeting up with anybody. These days on Craigslist, if I even go out anymore, I try to meet them in a local, like the police department here in town. And they're fine with it. I've talked to them, or at the library, right in front of the library. I run into some pretty scary people. I usually bring somebody with me every time I go. One of my kids or both of my kids go. And again, I only meet people from Craigslist stuff, at a open facility, unless it's something like locally and I have some connection or I know or have an idea that it's a safe area. But for the most part, I don't do that. I don't sell or list anything on Craigslist anymore too much, just because of issues in the past. And, I've had somebody want to meet me in the middle of the night, basically 11 o'clock at a McDonald's, and I just didn't feel safe on that. Good deal or not, I won't do stuff like that here. Let's see here. Let's see where we're at. I'm losing chat again for a second. Hang on. I appreciate the comments on the video. Hopefully one of these days they'll monetize some more channels, but we're still not monetized. I know I'm way over the totals here, and I mean way over on the view count. Obviously not subscriber. We're only about 300 and some odd up as of last check, but hopefully they'll monetize this at one point. You will see commercials, unfortunately. I'll try to limit everything on that. It's going to give me some opportunity to add some more features. I've got some local antique malls that will allow me to come in there with cameras, and I'll actually be able to show you some better information on some of the things that I do and better ideas on things to look for as well too. So that's tentative, coming in the near future, as I said. So hopefully that'll be some big help, but I'll be able to show you some more broad items than you're probably used to seeing, and stuff that I don't usually mess with too. So again, as I said, I already got some connections on that, and I've already talked to them. It's some place that I do shop on all the time, and they've got my tax ID on file and all that kind of stuff, so they know who I am. Let's see here. Derek Burgett, welcome, welcome. Jaded Gypsy, welcome. Happy 4th to everyone too. Blinky Bill, hello. Let's see here where we're at. Yeah, I wasn't sure on the 4th of July how many people we'd have on. We're up to 35, so it's not terrible. You know, still 4th of July. It's still early, so the sun's out here. I'm sure those in California were 3 hours earlier, so, you know, there'll be some more people on from there too. We're not doing much on the 4th of July for ourselves. I worked all day, and I literally mean all day. I got up at 6 this morning. So, and tomorrow I get up at 6. I'm going to a picker, as I said. So, old advertisements from the 1920s, women's beauty products. It depends on the product. Quack medicine will sell. If it's quack medicine making outlandish claims, it always sells. And some of the stuff, depending on the maker that it's from, sells too. And it also depends on what the advertisements is. Like if it's a brochure, you probably got 10 or 15 bucks in most any of those. At least that's what I would put on it and just take whatever they go for. So, you know, that's how that works with a lot of those. If you got something really spectacular, if you're not in my my Facebook group, you're welcome to post pictures in there. I answer people's comments and try to give them a price on stuff almost daily nowadays. So, you know, I don't mind. It's the group's grown. I think we're like around 100 or so for the short time I'm on. That's fine. So anyway, Team Liquidator, things on the first day of the estate sales can be expensive. The one part I look at, though, all the people that are going in at the first day of the sale are looking for the high dollar stuff that no one else is. So if I go in, I usually try to go in the first hour group. If they take numbers, I usually don't mess with it. But I try to go in still early, and then I go to the stuff that most of these people aren't messing with. That's how you're going to get postcards. Go in early, let all the people go after the high-end and dollar stuff, and then get the postcards. If that's your thing. Again, I'm not into most of what these people buy. They're looking for pottery. They're looking for high-end furniture. They're looking for the huge expensive items that I wouldn't want to mess and send out. Usually the ones that show up at the estate sales first and stand in line are the ones who are there locally that are going to sell the items locally. It's the furniture. There'll be people in this local area that sits outside overnight, and their husband and wife teams that switch off. So I don't really mess with those too much anymore. I just let my pickers deal with those truthfully. I wouldn't say that's lazy because I'm always busy anyway. So anyway. Have I submitted my channel for review? Yeah, I was actually approved like 6 months ago, and I actually collected 6 months ago. It's been in review for like, I don't know, 5 weeks now. So, and they promised it would be this week that they activated them. But, you know, all they did was change the notice in my monetization page. So I don't believe what they say. It's been 5 weeks since I've been able to be monetized. And as I said, I already was monetized and have money pending in my account right now that won't be released until I'm remonetized at this moment. So, you know, I have no faith in them. Most everybody wasn't monetized. There's people still waiting right this very second who actually earned monetization for the new form with the 4,000 hours and the 1,000 subscribers in December of last year, if that tells you how far behind there. It's been a big stink. If you're unaware, YouTube has been so far behind the ball. All they kept doing was changing the month by month by month by month by month to these people. And again, they did it again. So I don't know what the deal is with that. I'm still putting out videos. So I'm just going to, you know, play it by ear and see what happens down the road. So anyway, I've got a lot of content up, so there's a lot to watch either way. Yeah, Derek, it does allow you to monetize, but they review every single one at a time in person, and they are so far backlogged that, as I said, they're still trying to approve people who earned monetization in December of 2017. Just type in monetization and YouTube in 2018, and you're going to see complaint after complaint. Any Reddit one, that's all you hear about. Everyone, they've done a bunch of monetizations, but nowhere near what they said they were going to hit. And they're just blowing off a lot of people. I know a lot of people complained about the eBay issues. YouTube's just as bad, if not worse. I've never seen an issue last since December of last year other than on YouTube. So, you know, that just goes to show even Amazon has issues. So, you know. Hello, Wisconsin. I've been to the Wisconsin Dells many times. We used to watch the dog jump over the Dells, if anybody knows about that. Thanks, Jaded Gypsy here. I try to put them out. This is what I like, as I've said before. I used to have to do meetings, you know, a couple times a week with staff as a regional and as a general manager. So I like talking about what I do. And this is what we do. This is all we do. Anybody here knows this is what we do. It's not, it's 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. And we've got like, I don't know, almost 20,000 watch hours right now. So I'm way over the watch count, and we're 300 plus subscribers over the watch count. And as I said, it's been 5 weeks since I've been qualified, and we already were monetized. So there should be no holdup in my book. But I'm not going to sweat it out. Everybody who sees my videos says I'm not a big panicky person at all. If you worked in the real world, and worked as a regional general manager, ran a restaurant or ran a retail establishment, you've got way more concerns than, whether a program's not working. You got to upload some photos. I know it's been a huge ordeal for a lot of the new folks on here, but if you watch some of the longtime YouTubers who've been on here for a couple of years, it's not a concern. My living is made on eBay and Amazon and all. So for me, I take everything serious. Every dime we make comes from online. Almost every single speck of money we make. So I do take all this seriously, and it is a big ordeal, but I don't panic because there's nothing I can do about the issue. All it's going to do is stress me out for no reason, and I'm just going to move on in a week or two anyway. I won't even think about this anymore. This is a temporary glitch. And what did they do? eBay changed the entire system, the entire structure of a couple billion listings at any given time are up. That's what I was told literally by eBay at another date. And this was, months ago, they told me that. So who knows how many up. They were able to effectively change billions of listings all at one time, and only had, well, I shouldn't say only, 27 million issues is a big problem, but it was one or two single issues that caused all the problems. So anyway, I got a lot of hate mail on that one here. I had to constantly be kicking stuff off on that one, but I'm not a glorifier to up eBay for any reason other than the fact that, I make all my living up until a certain point comes off of eBay. I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds me. If they do something wrong, I'm going to call them out. Yes, they did mess up on the glitches, but is it going to affect your whole business forever? No, it's already almost gone. I haven't had any issues other than the photos and some policy issues. And I know there's other people who've had more issues. I've talked to someone who lost 100 and some odd photos. So were they mad? They were upset about it, but they're not going to freak out. They're just going to move on, fix the photos, and keep going. They're making, 10 grand a month, as well. So why would they risk or worry about that 10 grand? Let's fix the issue and just move on. If you're working for somebody else, that's all that happens. You fix the issue. You don't whine about it because there's nothing you can do, and then you move on. I was a regional. I had to deal with this stuff all the time. Every day of my life, I had to deal with people dying and, alcohol accidents from somebody drinking in one of our facilities and then getting an accident. My manager was arrested over it. I had to appear in court many times. I've had to appear in court so many times. It's not even, worth getting into all that stuff anymore. It's just not worth your hassle. Let it go. It's a fact of life. Everybody messes up sometime. Yeah, it was a huge mistake, but anyway, I'm going to end it on that. Enough on the eBay glitches here. Let's see where we're at on here. Corey Clefbaum. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I'll just say Corey. Glad to have you here. We try to put out some good videos. So, yeah, YouTube's way behind. They're like 7 months behind for some people. They promised everybody it's going to be up, and they actually promised on Monday that everybody has been reviewed. It's just a matter of getting the notices out because they have to hand type them apparently, which I don't honestly believe. But who knows? I'm not going to worry about it as I said. Just like I don't worry about the eBay issues. This is just fact of life wherever you're at. So, I've got a video. One of my haul videos, I talk about Macaroni May photo strips from photo booths. Those sell very well. I literally have a huge book of these. I've sold single individual photo booth photos for like 80 to 100 bucks before. So just depends on the topic. Look up some of my past videos. I believe it's in a haul video from last month, maybe the second week in last month. But I've got tons of those. I buy them whenever I can find them. Type in a photo booth photo and you'll see it on eBay. Type in, completed, look up the comps. You're going to see some high dollar ones. The hand colored ones are even better. And as I've talked about, hand colored stuff always sells better. It's a premium above and beyond the normal item here. So let's see, where are we at now? Yes. Happy 4th, Kathy Steele. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I think no matter what, I'm not a big person to take off for a holiday or not. Anywhere I've ever worked, I worked, holidays, anniversaries, birthdays, Christmas. That's just the luck of the game. But luckily, as our own business, I can take off for, the holidays when I want to, or we can go or do something. So anyway, let's see where we at. Yeah, a team liquidator. The hauling service can work, but most of the time with those, I have a friend who does that, and he does it for scrap. He'll take away like hot water heaters and things, and he does a ton of money in scrap. He had his biggest scrap day 2 weeks ago, but he'll do hauliways and stuff like that. But you got to take everything. So if you don't have a big truck or helpers, it's not a great ordeal for some of these. You might get lucky and they'll let you take certain pieces, but when you're cleaning out a whole area or a whole building or something, it's all or nothing. All the ones I've seen. Again, it can work. You can make a ton of money off of it. You can scrap the metal, and then you can sell the leftovers either at a local auction. You can just consign them off and then sell the higher dollar items on eBay. I don't mess with that again because I don't need to. I've got just so many items here that it's ridiculous. I mean, I got 10,000, as I said. This is just like a small portion of the slides. And again, as I said, I take them all out of the containers. I bag them, and then I put a little label on what these slides are. So they take up less space. And then I sell the cases that they came in individually, the metal ones, the one I showed you earlier in this video. If you missed the beginning of the video, you'll have to just go back and look. None of the carousels are worth anything. So let's see, where are we at here? Pardon me, I'm just trying to catch up here. I've talked a little too much and I've gotten behind. Yeah, that's why I said the liquidations can be a lot of work. It's just like buying a storage unit out. Those are a ton of work depending on the storage unit. Yeah, there's a ton of money. I've got a couple people here who do it, and I actually have a friend whose father runs the auctions that go and actually auction off the storage unit. So I get an insider. I mean, we can't go in and look anyway because the law is very specific. You don't open the lockers. There's no idea knowing what's in there until the day of the auction. And if anybody has like a new lock on them, I don't even mess with those people. I know these people. I trust their liquidation auctions, and I trust their storage unit auctions. I don't really go that much either, though, because I don't want to take up my garage. I like having my vehicles, locked up in a garage. Just my personal thing. And I won't rent a warehouse either. I'm not going to double my expenses a month. The minute you get a warehouse, you're at least doubling, and most of the time it's more than that because the warehouse is probably more than your house depending on the size of it. So unless you already have a steady stream coming in and you want to go that route, I wouldn't mess with that. I'm going for the smalls, and I'm going for a ton of them. We're over 40,000 listings right now active. So, that's where I'm heading to. I'm going to the 100,000 listings and beyond, and we'll up our store level to that new primo store level they have. So anyway, yeah, Jaded Gypsy, the photo booth photos always sell. I always get money out of those, and sometimes I sell them individually as well. I got a book with like a couple hundred of them in there. I've saved them for now because I'm going to draw and do some artworks with some of them too. But I'm still deciding on whether to listing those as a big lot, as several lots, like one page at a time, or individually. There's a couple colored ones from the World War II era that hand tinted ones that I'll sell individually, and they might go for $50 a pop. That's just the way they go. They're always high dollar items, and I never knew that until a couple of years ago. So I say photos and paper items sell the best out of anything I got. This morning I packed up, I don't know, like 27 postcards, and I had Ian here. He's working here too. He's doing the moderator for tonight. He listed some more postcards today. They listed some last night, and the ones that they listed last night, I sold 7 of those last night, and I already had paid for. So shifts are already paid for when I do these things. Let's see here. Got this too. Yeah, I've got 170 videos. Macaroni May. There's always hope for any kind of future. I never thought I'd be doing this. I worked for somebody my entire life. I started off as hourly working for people. I was an assistant manager, general manager, and then a regional manager. And I've said this, I don't know how many times, my worst day on eBay is better than my best day working for anybody else. Hands down. I've had windows bashed out. I've had my tires slashed. The stuff that you deal with in a establishment working for the public is just horrendous. I won't even tell you what people do in the bathrooms and all the disgusting things you have to see and clean up and stuff. It's just an awful thing to do. I am so much happier, even if I'm working 12-hour days. I can come and go as I please and do whatever I really want to. That's just the way it works. Let's see, where are we at? Nope, you're welcome to post to my Facebook group. I don't mind that at all. It helps other people, and I like looking at stuff. It's like a mini haul version. I'll look at that photo. That sounds interesting. The one with the beer kegs, Macaroni. Diaries, yes. Blackberry thistle tea. Diaries do sell, and they do sell very well. It just depends on the diary. I've sold some Civil War diaries in the $500-600 range. Diaries of events, like if it's a diary from like a World's Fair or combat, even Vietnam War diaries sell very well. 150, $200 you can get for a decent one. It matters the content. It matters the age. It matters what's going on in the diary. I had a diary from territory out in the West Indian Territory, and it had contact talking about General Custer. And this was after the fact. It wasn't somebody that was there, but it was talking about him being alive and actually reading that stuff in the paper and having a relative in the military at the time. And that one sold for a ton of money just because of that mention of Custer in it, you know. And again, this person had no direct knowledge of the incident. He just happened to be alive and talked about the incident in the papers and how devastating it was. And he was worried about his relative having to go out in the same area and the whole work. So diaries sell very, very well. Just type in diary, do a comp of diary. And if you want to, you know, zoom in, do diary and war. Just do that as your 2 keyword search, and you're going to see some high dollar ones. I guarantee it. Civil War ones always go for good money. Always. You know, people pay and have those actually translated or, you know, transposed onto, you know, printed sheets so they can sell them too. I wouldn't do that, but, you know, they can go for more money when you pay somebody to do that because it lists all the content and someone can have a good idea what's inside the diary before they actually buy it from you. Let's see here. Paper book called Gettysburg and Photos. You can post a picture of that book too. I want to say I've seen that book. There's a bunch of those too. You'll see there's a bunch World War II especially. There's books like that that'll show you like scenes of the events. If it has cars in it, it's probably from a GAR reunion from like the 20s. It depends on what the car looks like, obviously. But there's a lot of those books out there that are marked GAR, G-A-R, somewhere in there. Look under the declaration page or the copyright page for GAR, or it might say a post number on those. If it's something like that, it's going to be worth some decent money. Most any GAR book that shows like Gettysburg battles or things like that are worth money. And especially if the GAR post was one that would have served and fought at Gettysburg. Those are worth some big money. I've just sold some GAR items just the other day, and I actually have, well, it's too far away to grab, but I have some GAR items I just got in the other day, actually. So GAR stuff sells if that's what it is. So take a look at it and get a good close-up look and see if you can see any GAR information listed on it. Grand Army of the Republic. That's what you're looking for. If you want to know how to list at Green Thrifty Life too, you can post a picture in my Facebook group. Again, it's the Auction Professor on Facebook as well too. Yeah, you can post it to the group. The Vintage Fetcher. Yeah, I don't want to work for anybody else either. So the Vintage Fetcher. This wasn't what we ever planned to do. And I have a master's degree. I literally have in research and communication, and I expected to actually be working for a company doing research and communication and doing artwork on the side. That's what my goal was. I graduated with a master's, and there's just no jobs out there making what we're making now, you know, and I'm glad this is the way it worked, because now I'm free to do what I want. We've got art stuff going all over the place. I've got other, you know, ventures and other businesses. I've got employees, and, you know, it's turned into a fairly big thing for being nowhere, you know, a few years ago. And all I'm doing is looking forward to the future, because everything just keeps going up and expanding. This is going to be the first the first real year that I've got a ton of stuff going up through the summer. So my third and fourth quarter this year should be like the best I've ever seen. And last December on one of my accounts alone, we did 17 grand just in December. So I expect to be well over that, you know, with both accounts running full steam, you know, both accounts just cranking the listings up there too. So anyway, you know, you can do it on your own. It's something anybody can do. And once you get bigger, you can bring more people in and expand your business. And again, I never thought I'd be doing this. When I graduated, I just thought, you know, hey, I'm going to be working for somebody and get this good job. And, you know, I spent 6 years in college, and I just expected to get something out of it. But at least I learned enough to know, you know, hey, this is an opportunity. eBay is a big opportunity. But again, we sell on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, you know, across the board. I quit Poshmark. It's just not worth my extra time for the few sales I get. And I'm not going to try and build that up, because who knows, down the road that could be bought out by, you know, eBay, just like they try to buy other things. So, you know, who knows? Let's see where we at. What was my most memorable find? Team Liquidate. That's a real easy one. It's not my highest dollar one by far, but me and my wife, we lived in Florida, in Claremont. Claremont's a little tiny town. It's a Disney town. Most of the people there worked and lived and worked at Disney when we were there. And we used to take the bike trail around the little lake there, and I can't remember the name of the lake, Lake Minnehaha, I think maybe it's called. And there was an antique mall down at downtown there, and we had we had a year and a half old. My oldest, who's now in college, was a year and a half old then, and we went into her shop, and she usually actually sat and watched our child, and very nice. We knew her. We went to dinner with her and had drinks, and she had some photos in the back room in her discount section for $14, and they were plain images from World War II. And I recognized the general in charge, which was General Chenal, and I bought these for $14. I got home and I looked them all up. They were actually flying tiger photos taken in China, on the Burma Road and the whole works, prior to D-Day, prior to us admitting that we were actually on the ground in China while we were doing covert operations. And it was Chenault, and it was actually images of the people painting the tiger images on the planes. It had them all ID'd and named on the back. I mean, it was like the rarest photos I've ever had, or the scarcest ones. Maybe not the highest dollar ones. In this day and age, they would have probably sold for 10 times what I sold them for back then. But we made like $2,400 off these photos. But had I known how rare it was and the whole issue around it, the General Chenal had a postage stamp released like the month after I sold these things. The guy who I sold them to actually put all of those images in a book, and he's a high published person. He's got like 20 books out, it turns out. I don't remember his name anymore. It's been years ago, but I'm sure it's in the key flying tiger book that came out. These are the rarest, the best flying tiger images that ever showed up in public. Had I known about, Sotheby's and Skinner and all these other auction houses, it would have went up there and I might have got 40 grand for these things. It's a flub, so what? I got 14 bucks into them and we made a ton of money. But that was my most memorable. We needed the money back then, this is years ago. So, I did what I had to do. So, it was a good purchase. And I really loved those photos. They were just some of the neat. So it was about 70 photos of the flying tigers, them doing bomb runs down the Burma Road and stuff, and just all kinds of neat images. But that's my best find, my best personal liked find. We've had records for $4 grand that I paid $1 for. So monetarily wise, it's a record, many records anyway. No more micromanagement for me. It depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about working for somebody and them micromanaging you or micromanaging your business, at some point you need to micromanage it just to get everything on track, and then you can lay off and let it go on its own. But let's see, where am I? How many eBay? Hanny Jones. I've got 2 main ones that are both anchor stores. Then we've got a third one that we run tests and some auctions on. I've got some items that only we sell, and I found some, like, I would say pretty secretive category niches that there's no competition. So I'm not going to share some of that information with you, at least not now. Maybe in the future if more competition steps in, but it's been a real good moneymaker for us. It's that whole account lives off of stuff like that, oddball stuff that most people don't mess with. We do have, I think, 4,000 photos on the second anchor store and things like that. So I've got quantities of some things, but it's actually cheaper to run 2 anchor stores it's cheaper to do 2 anchor stores at 10,000 listings than it is to run 1 anchor store with 20,000 listings. So just keep that in mind. When you hit a certain point, you got a ton of listings here, you can save them, Mr. Lister, and then, getting rid of them on one account and then up them to the other one if you have copies of them. That's one way to do it. So you're not like opening up a second store, spending $350 a month to run, 1,000 listings, trying to work yourself up to that 10,000 listings. That's just something to think about here. Rich Sanders, welcome. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Subscribe if you haven't. Lightning Hopkins does sell. It might be an odd chess label or something like that. Maybe a Blue Note label. Lightning Hopkins comes on chess. You see him on king. You can pop that in. If you're not part of my Facebook group, the Auction Professor on Facebook, you can post a photo of it. If you're unaware, you can look up that record on Pop Psych as well. So type in Pop Psych. I've got a video on just using Pop Psych as well too that you can look on as well, and it'll go into whole detail on how to find record information for records that you can't find on eBay. Most high dollar or decent records are not on eBay, other than the time that they were up for auction. And Pop Psych usually posts all that information from eBay as well as several other sites into their database, so you can search that. You can go back like 5 or 6 years, maybe some more years in some items, but they do purge their account. So if you're not aware on that, they don't announce that information, but their account is purged every so often of old data. So you can't look back beyond a certain point, though. Kathy Steele, it is research and communication, but not quite the same thing. I was delving into like, more into research on, psychological effects on music and things like that, I guess. I'm going to be posting for one of my Facebook groups, as I said, my one of my thesis papers, and you can kind of get an idea and my thoughts on things like that too, because I'm a big music buff. I've got a ton of music. There's always music playing here, and I research and I track down music. I use the internet, the web link for the library, and we get stuff shipped from a couple hundred miles away just to get a certain song. I'm nuts on songs and stuff like that. So let's see here. You're welcome, Blackberry Thistle Tea, Tina CA. Yeah, on stuff, the real picture postcards, do your research on those. Look those up and look for comparable kinds. Look for the cities and things like that to see what they might be worth. Downtown views, scenes like that with cars, signs, and stuff like that do extremely well. As you've seen, one of my other Facebook group members posted one of a Tahoe card that went for $1,850. Yeah, I sold one for $450, and I thought that was good, but I've never seen a Tahoe card go for that until a month or so ago. Baseball postcards sell horrendously high. $1,000, no big deal. But that was just horrendous. In fact, there is a Babe Ruth baseball card that someone bought off eBay. This just happened, and I saw this on Forbes. If you look at Forbes, type in Babe Ruth RPPC. Someone bought it for $300 from another seller on eBay. They did some research, and this turns out to be the only image, or one of two, of Babe Ruth on the mound in his very first game. And this thing went for $40,000 for that real picture postcard of Babe Ruth on the mound in like his first game. And he was pitching or something, if I'm not mistaken, in that photo. They did a lot of research. They proved it without a doubt. They made $40,000 off of an eBay purchased real picture postcard. True story. It's on Forbes. If I can find it again, I will post a little video on that and kind of show you. That's not the first time I've seen that. There's other baseball postcards that have been bought off eBay. There was a Von Richter. He was basically the Red Baron from World War I. Somebody sold, and I missed it. I saw it, and I missed it. I saw it just minutes too late to do anything about it. His autograph on a postcard. Somebody bought it on eBay for like $30 and sold it for over $1,000 to a military collector. So you got to watch out on those. That's why I say do your research on everything. I would have missed the Babe Ruth one, but most people would have too, because there's no way to tell unless you have some inside experience on this whole atmosphere of where he was at and what the stadium was and who was at that game. I'm not up on all the baseball at all. I'm not a big sports buff. I'm more a sci-fi nerd. So, let's see here, GTOR, I won't read the whole thing. On that one here, go to eBay first. And for me, I know which ones to look up on eBay. I know which ones will show up on eBay overall for the most part. The real oddball ones are the ones I usually go to Pop Psych first. But unless you know your records, always look them up on eBay first. If you can't find them on eBay, you can then go to Pop Psych. And then you can go to, I think I showed you Craig's site as well, too, Tef Teller's site. There's like 5 sites that I technically use for records. But I'm into records that most of you probably would never run across and wouldn't have a reason to even think about. I may do another advanced video on that, too, for some more in-depth and show you some of these other sites, too. But there's 5 main sites for records that you can use for good information. But again, as I said, use eBay first. VJ, Rich Sanders, VJ is a very common label. again, type in VJ on eBay and you're going to see tons of them. And you can see it with just in V and a J, or you can see V as separate and J as separate, or you can see VJ in one long line. VJ is one of the Beatles' first record labels. So like Please Please on VJ, the LP, that's like their first record. It's introducing the Beatles. You get the right one of those, is worth thousands. Lightning Hopkins on VJ, I would have to look up the specific one. Those aren't super rare, but I guarantee you'll see that record if it's worth anything over $15 or $20 on Pop Psych. The Lightning Hopkins. I've got a couple Lightning Hopkins here. Usually I don't mess with LPs. Usually Lightning Hopkins, you want the 45s, but not all of them. We've got 4th of July fireworks. You're going to hear my dogs going nuts. So I think you've seen them in a video or two here too. But I've got 2 full-blood Chihuahuas here, and they're little yippy dogs, what everybody calls them. Let's see here. How close did I come quitting when I first started eBay? Not at all close, because at that point I did not have a job. I just got out of college and I couldn't find anything. I wasn't going to work for a restaurant. I just deactivated all my online resumes just because I was just sick of people constantly. Every week I'd get something. But I was going to make it or break it. We were going to go for broke. We invested every dime we had into doing this. So either we made eBay or we were destitute. And that was the chance we took, to either make it or break it. I talk about Shark Tank because that's one of my shows that I like. I liked Dragon's Den, which came out before Shark Tank. Shark Tank's a copy of Dragon's Den, and I watched every episode of Dragon's Den. We used to get the out of Canada, the Canadian channel. It used to be, I think, 9 out of Windsor. When we lived in DC, we could even get it on cable there, or satellite, whatever we had. But like Mark on the show, make it or break it. You know, I've been, working for somebody else for 20 years. I have a master's degree. I have several other degrees. It was either we were going to make it or break it, and we were going to go for broke. This is the one time in my life I risked everything, including my well-being and my kids and my family on it. We've done eBay for years. We've always made enough side money to, always pay our bills no matter what. eBay has always saved us for 20 plus years. 20 years of my life, I have sold something on eBay, from day one, since the first year eBay started. And I've always made money on it. So for me, I wasn't going to give up. We were going to do it and go for broke. I just worked, 80-hour weeks. That's what it takes. That's what it's going to take if you have nothing coming in. Now, a lot of people here working for somebody else, and you can do this part-time to work up to it. I just expected, we would find something so quickly working. My wife's got a master's degree too. We both went to school together for a master's. Me and my wife are like best friends. We're 2 peas in a pod. We do everything together. Not, it's not a forced relationship here. We get along. We're very happy together, and we're friends. We're best friends. We know everything. We finish our own sentences. It's been this way forever. Anybody who knows us from back in the day knows this is us. I wasn't going to give up, and I didn't give up. And I never came close to it. Never. I would never want to work for somebody again. At this point, right now, if I had to take the choice, I would lose everything I got trying to keep this running as opposed to working for somebody else. It's a given. I will not do it. I won't put my family through it, and I won't put myself through it either. Let's see here. Do I use it? I don't print labels. Labels are too expensive. If you want to be cheap, get yourself a laser jet printer and print them. You can print 2 on a sheet. I use the standardized label right off the system. All the sites I use, it works perfectly fine on Amazon too. I don't do FBA anymore since they raised the fees. Everything's direct. I've sent some things in FBA, and we're sending our artwork postcards into FBA, I think, too, for Halloween this year, just to get that buy box better. But I don't use thermal printers. I just use the cheapest paper that runs through my printer, and I cut them all down. That's all I do. I don't spend the money. Labels are 5 or 10 times what paper is. So don't waste your money on that. The tape is cheap as can be, and don't go to any Office Depot or anything. You can get 110 yards of the 2-inch tape off of eBay, 36 rolls of that for $32.58 shipped to your house, including shipping. You cannot get that price anywhere, even at Walmart, Office Depot, or anything. Buy the cheap ones, the 2 mil tape offline, and I guarantee you it's going to cut your cost down from labels by at least a factor of 2/3 would be my guess. That we estimated when I first did that. I had labels years ago. I don't mess with labels. I cut corners every day, anywhere I can. If you cut out, it may not seem like a lot, but if you're cutting out $4 a week, times that times $52 just for the labels, that's what I look at it. And if I do that on 10 different areas where I can save a $5-10 here, at the end of the year, I've saved $3,000 or $4,000 by the time the year ends. So, I'm cheap. I'll tell anybody that I'm cheap. you know, but we spend on what we want. I buy what I want. You know, I don't care if, you know, my air conditioning bill is high or anything. I don't care if the wife wants something in the store. We just buy it if it's something that we enjoy. I'm not a name person. I don't buy name brand clothes just because of a name brand. I buy something that I like. You know, that's just how I am. But don't mess with the labels, you know, unless you're gung ho. It only takes a matter of seconds to tape them up. If you haven't seen my big tape dispensers, there's a tabletop 2-inch dispenser, just like the little tiny dispensers. They work perfect. It's an easy, quick thing to put 3 pieces of tape on a piece of paper for the label. And it's well worth it to save the money off the label cost. And I even saved I buy a big, huge box of paper too, so it's cheaper than I get it anywhere else. When I buy tape, I buy them a whole case at a time or 2 or 3 cases at a time if it's on sale. So, you know, that's just being cheap. It's what you need to do. It's your money this time. It's not someone else's money. You're working for yourself. I would rather have, you know, $4 more in my pocket a week by not having labels every week of the year over 4 or 5 years, you know, than spend that money. It's my money this time. $4 may not seem like a lot, but $16 a month times, you know, 12 months, you know, that's money to eat out for, you know, 10 times over the whole year. So, you know, let me go back here. Pop Psych, yes, G-Tor, that is correct. And I've got a video just on that on an in-depth, and I believe it has oh geez, I can't remember who's on. There's a picture of someone singing in the video. It's in the how-to playlist from about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I go in depth on that site as well as Discogs and some other sites that you can use to look up information on records that you can't find. But that's that. I use that all the time. I use Pop Psych today even. So I pay for Pop Psych too. You can only look up like 10 or 12 at a time. I pay. It's like it's in Swedish currency, I think. So it's like $18 US, 1836 or something like that. $18.36 every 6 months. It's well worth the $40 or max I pay for Pop Psych. And I'm actually talked to them, and I might have a deal with them, or maybe I can get you guys a discount on that to advertise for their site. I use it, so I don't have any problem with showing you guys a site that I use. I'm not going to sit here and advertise sites for stuff that I would never have any use for. But if you're selling the stuff that I do, you use Pop Psych. It's a given. I use Pop Psych every day of my life. Sam Dallas, welcome. Yeah, this 2 stores. It's a discount. It's a money saver. Start your listings in Mr. Lister or one of the other sites that you can type them up offline. So if you list them on, you know, one site until you have enough, say you hit 17,000 listings. Once you hit 17,000, it would probably be wise to switch over to a second store at 17,000 listings. You're just going to have to set it up differently and pay attention to how you have it set up so you know how to get rid of those from one site to swap them over to the other one. That's the only thing you'll have to pay attention to. There's a key or a trick to it, but, you know, it took me some time to figure out how to do it. And we're approaching the point where I might do a 3rd anchor store to cut the cost down a little bit more. I know it's only a penny or so a listing, but that's 10,000 listings times 12 months out of the year. So, you know, it is a big difference. And as I said, you do the labels, you do a second anchor store, anything you can do. You have stuff shipped to the house. You go to a local box manufacturer and buy local boxes when you can't get them at Walmart. Like eBay, I'm stuck with eBay shipping boxes. I'm stuck with $300 worth of boxes a year, or every month from eBay. And most of the time I end up turning around and selling them, or I'll buy bags and then turn around and sell those online, because the boxes from eBay are twice what I can get them for, even from Walmart. And if I go to a box manufacturer, I can sometimes get them for 3 or 4 cents cheaper per box than Walmart. And that's just a way. If you get bubble wrap, call your local companies that do shipping supplies, ask them for an end cut. And if you don't know what an end cut is, I've got videos that talk about packing up stuff. End cuts are the way to go. I can cut your cost in bubble wrap down to a 20th of what you're spending right now through end cuts. I promise you. It's a huge roll, like a 6-foot tall roll for like 10 or 15 bucks is what an end cut is. It's the end of a roll that they can't use it for any other purpose. It's oddball sizes, end cuts. Again, I'm cheap. I hunted out every single part of my business. The shelves I got at a discount here because I bought, 6, 8 at a time. Everything I got in here was bought in bulk if I could, or bought from a secondary source that was cheaper for the same item from someone else. That's just the way I am. Aladdin Sane. I have that record. My wife's a big David Bowie fan. She actually snuck out to see the Glass Spider tour. So if that gives you an idea, I don't know if the black light would mean anything at all. Some of those are made on styrene and not vinyl, and I believe that's probably what you're looking at there. They don't usually do stuff with that, but you might want to hold it up, to a real strong light and see if it's at all transparent for that Aladdin Sane record there, Sam. Some of them are transparent or have some hidden images in it sometimes. I've never heard about that in Aladdin Sane, but if you go to PopPsych and type in Aladdin Sane and Bowie, if there is one like that, you will see it in there, because that one should probably be a higher price one. I honestly, though, don't think that's anything special. Most of the time, the black lights on the records, I've never heard of that, honestly. It may be something, and it may not. I've been in records a lot, and I would have thought I would have heard of it. It was something special. But again, it may be. It may be like a UK import or something like that. It depends on the label as well, too. Yeah, on the records, I see a lot of people pointing out, like somebody was just talking about the Lightning Hopkins VJ. That's a common label, but on some discs on that label, they go for a ton of money. Jerry Reed, I think is the guy's name, or Jimmy Reed, I think is his name. He's got some that I think my Precious Love, I think it's called, or something Precious. If you type in Reed, VJ, and Precious, you'll see the record on PopPsych. It's like a $5,000 record if you get the right copy on VJ label. And again, there's a couple Beatles labels that are Beatles records that are on that label, 45s and LPs. If you type in Beatles and VJ, you're going to see some $5,000 records. I'd almost bet you my life on PopPsych, even maybe on eBay too, because that label is a fairly good label. Another person that's on that label is like the Four Seasons. So you'll always see Four Seasons on VJ. Not worth a ton of money, but there are some, as I say. I look out for VJ labels just for certain specific people. Usually the early soul and doo-wop on VJ go extremely well, thousands. Bubble wrap is not expensive if you hunt down G-Tor, if you hunt down end cuts. I am telling you right now that I get a roll that you can use for a bed. I mean, it's a 6 foot. I'll have to show you a picture next time I buy one, but it's a 6 foot long. It's literally like this big around. I'd have to hold my hands out to get it. It's probably about 12 to 14 inches wide of bubble wrap in a roll. It's 1,000 feet or more of this bubble wrap, and I get it for $15 for all of that as an end cut. Now, this is what I'll explain it real quick. An end cut is when a factory makes bubble wrap, they cut it to specs for individual customers' basis. They'll either fold them into like the preformed envelopes of bubble wrap and things like that, or they'll line them on paper and turn them into envelopes as well that way. At the end of the day, what they have is an oddball piece that's just cut off. It's a leftover of a huge roll. Bubble wrap comes in these rolls sometimes that are 10 feet across, and at the end of the day, they'll end up with an end cut that's 14 inches across, or 10 inches across, or 8 inches across, or random widths across. That's an end cut. I get them here all the time. I didn't even know that these things existed until 2 years ago, and that's when I started getting into it. I've told other people they've bought these end cuts too. My kids sat in them as a chair. They're so big, and I'm not exaggerating. I can cut your costs down if you hunt around and get end cuts from the companies that make these. I guarantee that they do this because they do it here on 2 different places. I actually get a discount from the second one that does it by offering them, telling them, hey, why don't you sell your end cuts? They had no idea they were trashing the rest of that bubble wrap. So end cuts, go to the companies that do the boxes and the bubble wrap and talk to them, ask them, tell them what you do, and tell them would they sell you their end cuts, the end of the roll when they're done doing their custom orders for their bubble wrap. I promise you that's a thing. Barack Obama, us, US. We're talking about anything vintage. I do eBay and Amazon, so I do a ton of records. So vinyl will come up in here, postcards, anything vintage. Mr. Hollywood 309 Roman. We talk about reselling on eBay and Amazon. Yeah, Team Liquidator. I've seen the dumpster diving too. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm not going to waste my time. As I said, I've got tons of sources for material, so I don't care about, going out and doing that. I'm not going to do a video just to get some clickbait or anything like that. I like doing what I do, and I like posting videos about this stuff. So. Hanny Jones, about 1,200 square feet of stuff for eBay. And plus I've got, my father's old workshop, his woodworking stuff has tons of records in that. That's all it's in that shop is records. That's at my mom's place. So, I've got a ton of stuff all shoved in here. And it may not sound like a big area, but most of what we sell are tiny individual little things. There's 30 listings worth right here, maybe 40 listings worth in this little tiny bag. So I'm trying to stay away from anything big. I don't buy big stuff. I don't buy too much China. I don't buy too much anything big anymore at all. And we're marking down our clothing and going to blow out those and take up the space with more paper items. I've literally got 100,000 probably pieces of paper behind Ian, who's sitting on the other side of me right now, just sitting there waiting to be listed. You know, I'm literally on the verge of hiring maybe another 1 or 2 employees through the summer and maybe keeping them on after that even. I don't know yet. Let's see here. Disney Family 515. Some of the medallions do go, but they have to be earlier. Most of the John Paul stuff does not sell very well. I've sold some religious items like relic items now. Those will sell. In Vatican coins from like 50s or before do sell too. But other than that, the papal ones, they made millions of them. They're adoration coins and things like that here. When he was promoted to his popehood, whatever you'd want to call it. I'm Catholic. I should know that, but, you know, I don't really mess with that these days. But, you know, they gave out millions of those, or you could buy them. You could buy them at the Vatican gift shop even, and you could buy them online. You could buy them here even locally from your local churches sometimes. And it was like a fundraiser. The church would make money by selling some of those. They're not worth a lot of money. The earlier ones, yes, though. End cuts, END, and then cuts. Yes, end cuts. It's the end of the roll. It's the end cut of the roll, the last piece. Sometimes they're only like this wide too. If you're shipping small things or you don't mind wasting some of it, that's fine. I used to buy that just to ship 7, 8 records, and I filled the whole box up with the bubble wrap. You know, I found a better way to do it that's a little less expensive. It's the only reason I don't buy those just for that, though. And we don't do a lot of glass. I don't mess with the end cuts very often, but there's a local one here that does it, and there's a second one that will do it for me as well too. So Sublime 90, welcome. Yeah, taking photos and listing is your better choice than watching me, honestly. Yeah, I'd love to have you watch me, but, you know, listing and making money is what I do. Everybody's asked me about, am I going to eBay Live? I wouldn't go to that no matter what, just because I wouldn't spend my money on an event where I'm not going to get a return on my investment for my business. I'd rather sit here and list those 2 or 3 days and have more money come in. Plus, I have employees now, so I'd rather have them be able to work while they can, while they're out of school and things like that. So that's what I look at. I wouldn't go to eBay Live. It's more a fun event. You know, in the past, I was forced as a regional manager and a general manager to go to events. We went to Destin and they sent us out on, you know, deep sea fishing and all that. I'm a family man. We were allowed to bring our wife, but I had a newborn baby at the time. So I tried not to go. I told them I'd rather work in the store, save your money. They forced us to go, you know, and my wife had to sit home with our infant, and, you know, I just a bad experience. I don't go to any of those kind of events. You know, I might go, you know, to promote, you know, something, I guess. I don't know. Maybe in the future. Dragon Con I'd go to any day of the week, or the Comic Cons, but the Dragon Con Atlanta, I'm going to get there one of these days, positively, no question about it. We'll be setting up and displaying our models there one of these days soon, I hope. We'll be doing the Detroit convention here when they come to town too. I've already definitely going to do it no matter what. We're going to hit Detroit with our models and things like that. That'll be the first place. And again, for those of you who know about the models, I'm giving away a model, one of our production pieces here for Halloween, as well as postcards. So you get a chance to get some free ones from my site too. But no gimmicks or anything. Just going to be sending them to you for free. Just random people. Let's see where we at. Carlos Gomez. It depends on what you're selling. If you're selling individuals a lot, I sell a lot of items individually. I'll buy them at a local live auction in a big, huge lot, and I'll split everything up. You know, I've got employees, I've got the time, I've got the space. We sell everything individually if we can make more money at it. If I want to turn something and get it out of my way, I will dump them in a lot and get rid of them. Or if they're not worth anything, I'll either do the junk drawer lot. If you don't know about that, I got a video on that too, how to sell what can't be sold. Or I'll do, you know, just a junk big whole lot of like records or something like that. I've got a bunch of long, like 125 records and lots up right now. Yeah, you might still sell them, the papal items, but I really don't think the 70 days do. Look in the comps and you can check for yourself. But for the most part, the newer stuff does not sell. I sell vintage religious items all the time, though. You know, almost weekly I sell a couple pieces, rosary or something along that line. Macaroni May. Yeah, a lot. Almost every other YouTuber I see, other than a very few handful, pushes the clothing and stuff and the books and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Clothing, all these people that sell clothing and talk about clothing, a lot of those people who are doing that aren't really making their living off clothing. They're making their living off of selling their services to you through eBay or through YouTube. They're not making their money or they're living off of eBay anymore. They're making it off of you, paying for their critiques and paying for, you know, their lessons and their programs and stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Everybody has their own goals and their own market, so not trying to criticize anybody. Who knows, maybe someday I'll be pushing something I have, but you know, at this point I'm not. But clothing is what they always tell you is the easiest to get into to start with. We started that way too. Had I known about this other areas, I would have never started off in clothing. It was a nightmare when you have a couple thousand pieces up, especially with the returns from like when we did it on Amazon. We sold clothing on Amazon when we first started. The amount of returns were horrendous. And with the return policy and the 30 days to get the top rated seller plus status, I don't want to do with clothes anymore. I don't want to have to deal with returns. And I have another video from just a day or two ago too, talking about changing your, if you're on the 30-day plan for, you know, 30-day free returns, you pay it. You better go back in there and double check to make sure that you blocked off free returns for overseas sales, which I've already done. If you set up the policies are working again. Set yourself up as a policy only. I've got like 7 different policies. I'll do a video on the policies too, because I'm telling you, if you don't do policies, the policies are so much easier to do any changes. I changed every single one of my return listings for all 40,000 plus of my listings in less than a minute. And I'm serious. That's how quick it is, because one single click changes every single one of my return policies, or all my listing return policies, just for that one policy formatted I got. So I'll go into that too. That's a really interesting thing. It's just like Amazon, basic same thing. It's a little easier to understand, I think, on eBay than Amazon personally. Jada Gypsy, yeah, I keep telling people, you're never going to scale doing clothing. It's not possible unless you have a ton of warehouses. It's not going to happen. You got one up there now. It's just not going to happen. I have no physical way that I can see you can scale and still have a normal life and sell, you know, $10,000 a month in clothing, at least the kind of clothing everybody preaches you should sell, the typical jeans and the typical things like that. There you go. You got Ian here clicking off some of these trolls here we got. Hello from Poland. My family is Polish, so my grandmother spoke Polish around the house. I don't know about if you have to have a store to have policies. I will check into that for you. I'll look at our other accounts and tell you for sure. And then one of the other videos coming up here. End cut, GTOR, END, another word, second word, cut, CUT, end cut, like the end of the roll. That's what you want. End cut, END. They have them. If they don't, ask them what they do at the end of the rolls when they do their special custom cuts. That's what I had to do. And yes, I did get them that way. Yeah, I do like Sublime 90. We pay return shipping on everything. That's how you keep top rated seller plus status. And I know a lot of people say the top rated seller plus status doesn't count. It does count. I get higher ranking on my listings that have that on it versus the ones that don't. And I can run them on 3 different accounts, you know, separate accounts, so I can show you without a doubt that does mean something. So those people not worrying about top rated seller plus, usually what they tell me is, I don't worry about it. I just charge less than other people and I sell the item. I'd rather charge more for the item and sell it and have that top rated plus status, because I get other benefits with that. You get the discount, 1%, 10%, whatever it is. A discount is a discount, and take it over how many items we sell. It's a pretty good chunk of change at the end of the year. Again, I'm cheap, so every dime helps. Every dime matters what I do. Michelle Whalen, yes, end cut. That is correct. Michael Whelan, I'm sorry. I'm looking at it from a distance here. Let's think here. You too, GTOR. Yeah, it depends on your items. Like Sublime 90, I literally split it up so none of the overseas ones get free return shipping. Just a specialty, because I pay everything, or have them pay for shipping. First class international to like Canada, it's $10. To England, it's $14.50 for them to ship it. And I don't want to have to get stuck with $14.50 return shipping for something that only cost me, a couple pennies to sell. It's just not worth it. So I'm not doing the return shipping. And obviously, if there's an issue, you still have to pay return shipping either way. So it doesn't really matter. So, and I've only had, since June 1st, I've had one return that I had through the free return shipping, and they didn't send the whole item back. eBay sided with me, closed the case in my behalf, and they have to keep the item. So I'm fine. So I technically have no return issues whatsoever. And we're over a month into it. 1/12 of my year is gone of the return shipping policy. And before that, I almost never have a return. You're going to have those with clothing and stuff like that, but you don't have them with collectibles, especially if you're doing 600 DPI or better photos. They can really see the item. There's no question about what's damaged or anything. And we try to list every issue that's wrong with the item. So there's no reason to return it. I don't have returns. I mean, last year, probably for the entire year, I'll be lucky if I had 2 or 3 returns for a whole year of doing this. And that's with, 30,000 items or so up last year. So, I just don't have returns in collectibles. I have them in clothing. I have them in other areas, but none of the collectibles, for the most part, have a return on them. I just don't mess with that kind of stuff anymore. That's a good reason to get out of clothing, for example, right there. We're going to cut it off here in just a minute. Let's see if we got a few more questions here. Yeah, I'm going to be doing Disney Family 515, another store review. I'm going to be announcing that in one of the other videos here. And you'll have to just put a notice in that video here. But it'll be probably, what is today? Today, I will probably put one up, a notice for it on Friday. I've already started Friday's video. I do a bunch of videos, like the little clips and stuff you see in the videos ahead of time, just so I kind of give an idea. And I keep a schedule so I know where I'm at in my video productions. But Friday, I'll shoot for announcing, picking another critique. I had a lot of good feedback on that. I was surprised that many. I just worried at the beginning whether I was going to offend somebody. But again, you can see how I am. This is just business. I'm not here to offend or get into any drama at all. I'm going to be straight to the bone on what's wrong with what I see wrong with it. Again, I'm not the know-all on everything. So, I could be off on something here or something there. But the information I give on a critique like that is information that's personally helped me, that I can verify that helps me, because I don't do anything unless I know it's going to work. I'll test it, or if it's something I see a competitor it's doing it, I'll switch to that means. Like I've talked about zooming in to show a close-up of that item. I've saw 2 competitors now doing it. And one of the competitors is the guy who writes the book on the niche that I sell in. So if he does it and he does it on Amazon the same way, I switched the same way. Amazon and eBay, I copied his pattern. And sure enough, it made a big considerable difference in my sales. I sold some items that had been up for a while after I zoomed into them. I mean, quick sales too. So, that's a big difference. It means a lot to listing your items up there. It's a huge ordeal. I see we got 60 on a 4th of July watcher, so that's pretty good today. I really thought we wouldn't have that many with the holiday. Let's see where we're at. I'll just answer a couple more questions before I go here. Yeah, I would update that policy on there too. Personally, I do honestly see it. Again, top rated plus may not matter in clothing or something else. I don't know. I can tell you for the collectibles, you see what I sell. I sell my stuff for higher than most people. I will almost hands down guarantee you that my prices are higher than 75% of the other people selling the exact same items that I sell. Given, I'd rather sell one item for a higher price than 2 or 3 items for a little less than I would have gotten for that one item. I play this all out. I don't mind if I sit here and these items sit on my shelf for a long time. If they sit there for a long time, that's fine, because I sell stuff every single day, residual income. That's why I'm listing all this stuff during the summer. That's why I'm paying people all this money. Ian just got paid today, for example. I don't mind paying out the money and shelling out the money in cash is what we pay. Because these items are going to be here. If he lists 100 items in a day, we sell a couple that day. I've still got some of those items up for Christmas. That's my goal, to have as much up. Your goal right now, and all those people are telling you otherwise, is to get as much stuff up as you can for the end of 3rd quarter and 4th quarter. That should be your only goal. If you're not selling the kind of stuff that I am, you're selling clothing and stuff, you're going to make all your money at the 3rd and 4th quarter. 4th quarter is religiously where most retail establishments make 75 to 85% of their entire year's sales is made in, October, November, and December. That's a fact. Look it up, type it up, look at any economic site, look up on Forbes. I do look at Forbes occasionally for stuff like that too. Yeah, I'm always glad when people learn from this and are actually selling stuff. I see people every day now. Somebody hits me up, they found this and they made this much money or that much money. I've had people make a couple $100s on postcards because of advice from this channel. So I'm not to blow my own horn or anything, but this stuff's out there. Just people aren't telling you about it. They're telling you clothing and shoes and books. Nothing wrong with all that, but the market's changed with clothing, shoes, and books. 5 years ago, yeah, it was great. When we first started off and we did FBA books, we made a ton of money off of just nothing, basically. Send them in and forget about it. Check coming in, constantly. Nowadays, it's not that way. We've changed with the market. If you're not changing with the market, just as eBay did all these changes, they're changing to stay relevant. If they did not do those changes, eBay would not be relevant, and all these people taking bites off of eBay would eventually take over eBay, and eBay wouldn't exist. eBay is number one, or is in the top two. Amazon and eBay are number one and number two, as they have been for 20 years. All these changes, all these other companies coming in, eBay is still in the top two, as they have been forever. So don't worry about what's happening with eBay. They still have a revenue stream going up. Their operational income is going up as well too. It's a fact. So they spent some money to invest in infrastructure and everything else. Everybody does that. Who cares if they lost some money? It's not an ordeal. They can write that off as well too. Let's see here. Thanks, Team Liquidator. Thanks, Sublime 90. Don't worry about what's on the back, Julie Jew. The dates, the addresses don't mean anything. You show a close-up of the front, and then just show the back. It doesn't matter if somebody's name or address is on those things. Postcard collectors don't care at all. And if you type in postcards on there, there's probably 1 million or more postcards up for sale at any given time. Same as Amazon. Amazon's got millions of postcards up. We have some postcards on Amazon even. Yeah, don't worry about the names on the back of the postcards. Same with stamp collectors, cover collectors, all that stuff. It means nothing. It's not an offense. It's not a violation of any rule whatsoever. I promise you. Early frame cigar labels, Bon Cafe. Take them out of the frame because you don't know if it's a real label or a printed copy. So always take them out of frame. Never buy a framed anything unless you can take it out and examine it first. Well, thanks, Sublime 90. I appreciate that. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Tina. That about it. So I'm going to cut it off here. Ian's off at 8:30, so we don't want to hold him up. And I've got some stuff to do as well, too. But I appreciate everybody coming on. Had a pretty good haul or a pretty good viewership here today, considering it's a holiday and most people are out away from home. So I would imagine next Wednesday we might hit close to 100 or so watchers or viewers. So again, thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate it and have a good day. I've got, again, my video for tomorrow is all ready to go. You will see a in-depth on postcards tomorrow. Friday, expect a list on what's going to be my next critique draw. So we will go from there. But have a good evening. Have a good 4th, and glad to have everybody here.